somehow it changed the way mine somehow changed the login thing today, and then Kate was having problems with on her phone. So hopefully everybody is getting in okay. And came back to the Luxembourg again because there's still so much more to see, and we might have a little special treat at the end to go another little place, depending on time and Kate's battery, of course, but I think we should be good. So you guys all know what to do. I will just make sure you pin Kate up there. We'll wait a minute or two. Hello, Carol and Dawn. Good morning. Like everybody has their cameras off. They're like, it's too early. I don't want to see you. Oh, hey, Rox. I see Rox. I have been this morning trying to book an apartment in Paris, and the Airbnb app is also being weird. And so I have been struggling with that all morning. So we'll go ahead and get started. This, of course, as you could tell, there's lots of children around here, so we probably don't want to get too close and creep people out. But this is, of course, a carousel that's in the Jardin du Luxembourg, but this is the oldest carousel in Paris. It was inaugurated in 1879. And while it looks rather plain compared to some of the other carousels you'll see in Paris, this one was actually designed by Charles Garnier, who is the one that did the Opera Garnier, of course, the Palais Garnier. So it does look a little plain compared to some of the other ones, but it is pretty cool that it's the oldest one in Paris. And I was actually surprised to learn that these were actually for adults when they first started. In 1879, they were just adults used it. And it wasn't until the 1920s that it was for children, which is kind of strange. Although when I was in Paris a few years ago on my birthday, Roxanne, who's on here, and I decided to hop on one and the Tuileries. So, adults could still do it. The carousel itself, of course, there's the Place de Carousel that's over by the Louvre. And the name of that it's retained that name from an event that on June 5th, 1662, Louis XIV threw a huge party because his wife was pregnant, and he threw a party for the future Dauphin, which he was good at. Back then, they didn't exactly have ultrasounds, but, he was convinced he was going to have a son, which he did. So they threw this large party. And it was there in the Tuileries where, at the end of it, where you see the Arc de Triomphe carousel now. The party included what they called at the time, it was where the name comes from, there was a bunch of different riders on horses, and they would go around and they would have a joust, and there would be these poles that were hanging down some rings. And so they would come through, and with their joust, they had to capture the ring. And then there was also like balls that were flying in the air that they had to hit. But that's where the term carousel started. And so back then, when the carousels were originally created, just this one as well, it actually had these ropes that would hang down and would have a ring on it, and children would take like a baguette or something that they would have to capture these rings. So they still kind of retain that. You don't see that now. I should look closer at the carousels. I don't think any of them in Paris do that at all. It probably was, I'm sure little kids probably got smacked on the back of the head with one of these rings or something. So they don't do that anymore. But this one's pretty cool because it is the oldest. It's not the fanciest by any means, but it is the oldest here in the Luxembourg. And I'm so happy that it's not raining today and we could see all this. And more importantly, that Kate's not getting all wet. Yesterday, there was a lot of rain. We did a impromptu little live on Instagram. Crystal was at the Bouche-Charmont, and it was pouring down rain. So luckily today it's not raining, and there might be even a glint of some sunshine. I know, Cheryl, isn't that cool? I thought that was pretty cool that he did that carousel, but it's such a stark difference from the Palais Garnier. I mean, the Palais, it's like gorgeous. It's like the most beautiful thing in the city. And it's just so plain. Um, it's kind of a letdown when you see it because you expect it to be gold and opulent, but it's still pretty wonderful. There's lots of stuff here for the kids, especially in this area. There's the little playgrounds and sandboxes and everything around here. We are heading back over to the southwest corner, which is kind of where we started the tour when we did this 2 weeks ago here. And we're going to kind of head back over there. Of course, I made another lovely map that I drew on and sent to Kate. So we will, she'll maneuver through here. It does get kind of confusing through the park, but it is pretty great to see it with some sunshine. I can't wait to get back there. Is anybody else planning on going this year? Going anywhere this year, we should say? I should have my little map out. See which ones we're going to. Oh, that's right, Renee, Angela. I remember you were telling me beginning of November. So we are over here now. This is a statue that was just put in place here not that long ago, in 1991. I mean, it's practically yesterday in the terms of Paris. It's called The Poet, and it's by an artist named Zakine. And it was I don't think, I mean, you could kind of see on there, you could see how the texture of the statue isn't super smooth. There's words all over it. There's words in on the entire statue, and they are all from oh, look at Kate jumping on. Is she jumping in there? They were all from, it was basically an ode to the poet Paul Erude, who was born in 1895. His poem kind of covers the entire statue. It was created in 1945, and it was added here in 1991. And the what was really strange is I was looking on, I always will go back on Google Earth, and it's great. Google Earth will go through the entire garden. I will always go just to kind of orchestrate, how we're walking. And this is all blurred out. So I don't know if it's like a copyright thing or whatever. It was very strange. But this artist actually lived and worked very close to here, really close, just right on the Rue d'Assas, just outside the garden, a little ways from where we are right now, is his atelier and where he used to live. And it's now a museum, and it's free to the public. So I actually haven't been in there yet, but I am going to go in there for sure this next time. So that I'm excited to go see that. And there's another statue we'll see later that was actually inspired by Zakine too, that he worked, this artist had worked with him. I just don't you just love all those chairs? I mean, anywhere else, it would just, those chairs, they're just, haphazardly just strewn everywhere. But here in the garden, they're just the most beautiful thing you could see. This coming up over here, this woman isn't really interesting. We might have to do a whole podcast about her if I could find out even more about her. But this was the Comtesse de Ségur. She was born in St. Petersburg, and she moved to Paris, and she was married. She had 7 children. And when she was older, she had turned 50, which is not that old, as I have just turned 50. She turned 50, and she decided to start writing stories for her grandchildren. And these stories were so good that they ended up actually publishing them. And they published these, and she was writing them into her 70s when she had died. But it's pretty great that it was, way back in the 19th century, 18th century, that she was writing these and had been published at a time when, women really couldn't be published, especially under their own name. But I'll have to see if I could find some of these little short stories or her children's stories and share them with you guys. I love that the Luxembourg just, they just put you know, they have a statue there. They think about everything here. It's like, that one is so perfect because it's on a pillar and you could have the, you know, the greenery in front of it. And I hope this is an area of the garden that, you know, usually I stay, of course, down in Odeon. So this is kind of the far corner from that. And so I have only actually ventured over here a couple, 2 or 3 times, maybe. I'm definitely going to go head back in here the next time for sure. But it's, you know, it's kind of, unless you're staying on this side, you know, closer to here, it's, uh-oh, is this one all covered up? Oh, I don't think this is this is a different one that was here. He looked like he was all covered up. That is a different one from where we are. I think, yeah, I think go back that direction. I know it's hard to tell because there's no, it's not like there's any signs in here telling us which way to go. Yeah, I think we go back this way. It's been so nice seeing all the terraces back open this week, even if people are sitting outside underneath an umbrella. I would do that. After that long, it could rain on me. I wouldn't care. I would definitely sit outside, even if it was pouring down rain. There is something about sitting out in even in January when I'm there, I will sit outside on a terrace because they have the heaters, which they've said that they are banning, I think, next year, which should be interesting to what that's going to do to the terraces. But even in January, it's fine if you're underneath the heater and you're bundled up, and there's still something about sitting outside and being able to see everything. Do you see Kate, do you see the statue of the lion or the deer? I think it's around the corner.
Yeah, it is actually next to that statue I was by. It's just around here. We'll go around. We'll have a leisurely stroll.
Yes, but to the right, the area to the right is where they have all of the apple and the pear orchard in there. And that's what keeps all those bees happy. I still have been doing so much research on all the exhibitions. So I think most of you said you're going a little bit later in the year or next year. I always am keeping an eye on all of the special exhibitions going on, and I can't wait. Oh, here's our old friend. So this is our friend, Charles Baudelaire. And Charles Baudelaire, of course, is one of the great poets and writers of the Romantic era in Paris. This statue was put here in 1933. It's a very good likeness of him from pictures. You know, he was at a time when they already started having photography. So we have pictures of him. He was quite the character. I think he has probably come up in almost every single tour and walk we have done, because he lived all over the city, partially because he was trying to outrun his creditors, but also I think he wore out his welcome. Some places he only stayed for a few months. He did stay at that amazing Hotel Lison, which is on the Ile Saint-Louis. And at that time, like this building, that is probably the #1 place I'm dying to get inside and see. My friend Landon has gone in there, and it was like happenstance that she got to go. But he used to live there. He had a long 20-year relationship with a woman named Jean Duval. We are doing a episode about her, and it'll come out in, I think, a couple weeks. I think maybe June 7th, I think is the date. It's a really interesting story. You kind of will learn a lot more about Baudelaire in that as well. He was quite the character. He's known for his biggest thing he wrote was Flowers of Evil, which is a whole bunch of poems about Paris and about Jean, inspired by Jean. There was some eroticism in it. There was his hatred of things. It's just a very interesting man, for sure. this amazing statue is dedicated to Watteau, who was a fantastic artist, with little deer over there. And we should see some more deer. Wouldn't that be great if there was like a real deer? Has anybody ever seen like deer or anything in Paris? Do they come? I don't think that they probably would get very far. Maybe in the Bois de Boulogne. There's a lot of people out today.
I think the periphery keeps the deer out of Paris. Sadly.
Yes, that's probably true. Oh, here's here we spotted some. I love these. I think this one, and then the lion is we'll see the lion here pretty closely too. This one, I love these. Is a herd of deer is what they're called. They were done by Arthur Jacques Leduc, and it's this, you have these two little does that are there, and they look like they heard something, like their little ears are straight out and up, and they look like they're, you know, they heard something. Maybe it's the lion that's coming nearby. And then you have the majestic buck standing up there with his antlers and everything. And usually there's tons of flowers that are here. They definitely have done some planting. I think I'm interested to see what is going to be over by the central part of the garden, because they were supposed to be doing all of the spring planting. A friend Emily there lives close to there, and she sends me pictures from the park all the time. So she has me, we're on high alert waiting to see. But this is such a fantastic sculpture. The lion that we should see, let me check to see where that is so I could help guide you over there. It should be pretty close.
I think it's just here.
Yes. Oh, the lion. I don't know what it is about the lions are just like, especially the sculptures, they're so beautiful. I just want to cuddle up to them, but probably not really, but they're just so cute. But this one, I love this one. This is the lion, and it's by an artist named Auguste Kahn. And he, you might have seen if you've spent time in the Tuileries, which we should go back to the Tuileries. And now that things should be uncovered and stuff, and go back there and see some of that, some of the stuff that we missed when we did it back in the winter and it was cold and there was a bunch of construction. So we should go do that again. But he has some of his sculptures are there in the Tuileries. He along with Delacroix and Barré would go to the Jardin des Plantes and go to the zoo that was there, and they would sit there and they would study these animals, the way that they moved and everything about them. So the three of them, the work that they did between paintings and sculpture are just absolutely amazing. And they're so just true to life. What is happening behind us? This person, do you guys see that? Are they exercising or are they like jumping up and down? But he's standing, this lion, he's a Nubian lion, and he was at one time the largest lions in the world. They're now sadly extinct. He is standing over a poor little ostrich that just wasn't fast enough for him. But doesn't he look like, doesn't he look like the cat that, they come to your back door because they found a mouse and he's just so proud of it and he just wants to share it with you? He's just so cute. But he does amazing work. The three of them did amazing work. Some of them would even work with the veterinary school. Barré did that, and he would go in there and the same thing with Jericho. When Jericho did the Raft of the Medusa, you look at that and the way he did the male bodies and stuff, they would actually go to like the morgue and do, it sounds really gruesome, but they would do so much research on this to see the way that, they would move and the way that their tendons would show up at, underneath their skin when they would move and stuff. It's just pretty amazing. But I think I found this. I think I saw this actually on like my very first trip into, I think I came in on this side and saw that guy. It's just so cute. Other people are enjoying him. Nothing's better than sitting. So I think we should be heading towards the middle. I think you're going the right way.
Yeah, I'm just heading towards towards the boats.
Oh, yes.
That little, yeah.
And I put together yesterday, I spent half the day doing this because I am crazy and I just want to share all the details with you. I put a 5-page write-up together of all of the statues. I could even go back and put the numbers of the statues on here that coincide with the map that I have inside this wonderful Jardin du Luxembourg book. And it's a lot to post in the Facebook group, but afterwards, if you guys want to, I'll post a message if you guys want to, I have some of your emails, but if you want to send me your email address, I'll send it to you with a picture of the actual map. And then that way you could have it when you go back. And I might actually put it on my website too. So I could do that and just send you guys the link so you could have it. I don't want to give it away to people that wasn't attending with us. But yeah, there's a lot more people in the park, that's for sure these days. And we're gonna head over. So last time when we were here, they put that barricade up and we couldn't get there. And I found out the next day from my friend Emily, partially it was because of, we were ushered out of there because that thunderstorm and poor Kate got drenched, came in, but they were also closing it off because there's a monument we're going to see up here that they were doing a special event the next day and the president was coming. So that was kind of why I think this whole area up here was blocked off because they do a special thing. We'll see that. Hopefully we'll see that here in a bit. We'll go right by it. Emily in Paris, yes. Emily in Paris, the real Emily in Paris, not the TV show. That one, Carol, right? I think you know what I'm saying. So we're back over here now to our wonderful statues. This is Marguerite d'Anjou, and I love this one. And if you guys saw, I sent 2 weeks ago, I sent you guys the link that you could watch the video I did about all of them, all 20 of the ladies. But Marguerite d'Anjou, she was married to Henry IV of England. And she was crowned in Westminster Abbey. Henry, her husband, had these crazy bits of madness that he would go into, and it would last for months, sometimes even a year. And so she would kind of cover for him while he was doing that, because then they had others that, of course, were ready to take over the power. They had this son who's depicted here next to her. He was later captured along with her husband. Both of them died. She was exiled back to France, and she was exiled just completely penniless. So it's very sad, but this is the only of the 20 statues that includes somebody else. So she has her son kind of clinging onto her here. She lived from 1430 to 1482. It's just so many people. I love it. It's coming back. Louis de Savoy. I love this story. She was actually the mother to Francois Premier. She loved the Italian Renaissance, and so whenever she saw anything that was Italian, and she imparted that on her children as well. She had it was Francois Premier and Marguerite, and when Francois became king of France, he basically brought all of this stuff with him. He was very close with his mother, and so they imparted all of this stuff about the Renaissance. So that was really when the Renaissance really hit it big in France. For years, it's always been, everybody thinks that it was Catherine de Medici that brought the fork with her to Paris when she came to marry Henry II, but it was actually Louis de Savoy, and she would actually be the mother. She'd be the grandmother-in-law, I guess it would be, to Catherine, because she married Francois's son. If we've seen the palm, we'll have to see if the palm trees are back out yet too. This is Madame de Montpensier. She was basically the richest princess in Europe. She was a granddaughter of Henry IV. And she was the daughter of Gaston, Duc d'Orléans, and Marie de Bourbon. And she was the last, Marie de Bourbon was the last of that branch of the Bourbon family. And she died just a few days after Marie was born. And so when she died, she inherited all of this branch of the Bourbon family, all of their money. So she was incredibly wealthy, and she was also she was very opinionated. Her father would basically send her around France on his behalf. But she got rather involved with stuff against the king, Louis XIV, who was her uncle. She ended up later on getting to live here at the Palais de Luxembourg because her grandmother, Marie de Medici, left it to her father, and then it came down to her. She was always, they were trying to marry her off so they could get her a fortune, but it never worked. She found this one guy that she decided she was in love with, and she was going to marry him. But then they found out that he was only marrying her for his money. And so the poor thing, they called off the wedding. But I don't know. I would think it'd be pretty fine. It'd be just fine to be single living in the Palais de Luxembourg. I don't think that's that big of a deal. So this statue here, this is her story. Okay, her story is maybe one of my favorite ones. So this is, and you'll notice on this statue, there's no year on it. There's no years. Most of them have the years of when they were born and when they died. This one of Clémence Issoire, she was not even a real person. So they picked, this is why I would love to figure out exactly why they picked each of these 20 people. So because this is so fascinating, she wasn't even a real person. So she was actually, her image, there was a statue, this is down in Toulouse. There was a statue that was in a church of probably a former tomb of this woman. And so they were taking her out of there. They were getting rid of some of the tombs they had, and they had moved her from this church there was a Notre Dame de la Dorade. They were moving her from there to this building. So this building was where the Academy of the Floral Games would meet. This is back in the 16th century. So they moved her over there. And so these people would see her all the time. The Academy of the Floral Games was a competition for poets, and the winner would receive either a gold or a silver violets and roses. So they ended up doing this. They still actually do this competition even still today. But they adapted her image, and her name was Clémence Issoire, is what they gave, the name they gave her. She has all this time, she's still attached to it. But they created this image of her. She is not only here in the garden, but there's coins with her on it. There's Limoges, these beautiful Limoges plaques that were made with her on it. She's just kind of all over, especially down in Toulouse. But I think it's so incredibly interesting that she's one of the 20 illustrious women, and she wasn't even a real person. So I'd love to see how they picked some of these. So now we could head down into the middle there towards that other statue. And I'm so glad. This is the area that they had closed off. It's not this one that they were doing the event to. Of course, there's people sitting right underneath it. But this one, I love this. I love this statue. This is the mask merchant, and he is standing here, and he's got a mask in his hand, and that is actually the mask of Victor Hugo. Look at how perfect that image is right there. So beautiful. Good job, Kate. That he's holding the one of Victor Hugo in his hands. I actually I'll show you guys at the end. I made this silly little diagram of all of the people on there. So all of them on there. Underneath, you see a whole bunch of other ones. There is, we have on there, that's Alexander Dumas. And then there's Jules, to the left of him is Jules Barber Dovray. He was an author. Alexander Dumas, you know who he is. And this one right here, Delacroix. I love it that he's all over the place. We have Eugène Delacroix, of course, one of my very favorites. Jean-Baptiste Fourreau, he was an opera singer here. And then the guy next to him is Jean-Baptiste Carpeaux. He was an artist. This looks a little like you would maybe think that's Napoleon III from the images we've all seen of him. We don't have to disturb those people if you don't have to get on top of them. Is there something weird on the top of his head? But
Yeah,
they're
it's
all
like it's a camera.
No. I was like, that doesn't, I don't remember that on there. But there's different, there is also, who else did we not see? Hector Berlioz, who was a composer, of course, Alexander Dumas, but he used to have, holding in his other hand, he used to have it was holding 3 other masks, and those have disappeared. But they were Leon Gambetta, who was a politician, Charles Gounod, who was a composer, and Theodore Banville, who was a writer. But I love this. I love this statue, because of course, anything that's got Delacroix on it, and these other people. But it's also interesting too, who else they put on there. Were they filming something there underneath? They're filming their little picnic.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
I was like,
it's sellotaped on. It's nothing official.
Oh, that's strange. I know. I was like, I don't think I recall that something, whatever that's on his head. I don't recall that. Very strange. But we're coming up here. This is the monument this is why we couldn't get in here the other day. This is, it's called Le Cri et Le Cri, and it's by Fabrice Hibert, and it was created put in place in 2006. Oh, is there flowers on the ground there? Oh, they're just, oh yeah. So this is what they were doing 2 weeks ago when we couldn't come in. So, oh, very nice. President, oh, see, Macron. Look at that. They look pretty good for 2 weeks ago. But it's right behind us, and it's 3 links, and this was created to commemorate the abolition of slavery. And so we have you can see words on it. On this side of it, there's veins, and the veins are to represent pain. And it's 3 different, there's words on it. The words are there as they were part of the actual, the bill. I don't know if they call it the bill in France, but the bill that the Senate had passed ending slavery. And so there's 3 different links. The top one represents the end of slavery. The middle one represents the fear of modern day slavery and entrapment. And the third one, because it's going back into the earth, it's going back to the roots and and it has all those written words on it, which is really interesting. But it's little pieces of wood in there. I wonder if those kids, sometimes you'll see, it's a Sunday, so maybe not, but a lot of times you'll see, if you're in the museum, sometimes you see school groups, and they always have these papers with them, and they have to go around and find certain things in the museum. I always want to jump in and like, can I play your little quiz with you guys? I don't recall that plaque being there, but I'm sure it was. I'm sure I was.
That's really new.
Yeah. Maybe they were putting it in place. That's why we couldn't get in the day before, because it was kind of strange to block it off a whole day before. See, it's like, are people doing like a little scavenger hunt?
Yeah, they've got laminated pieces of.
So these the benches that you see, these Parisian benches, there was just recently this auction that was in Paris just this last week, and they do this they've done this a couple times a year, where they sell like all of these pieces of Paris. So they'll have like signs and benches and, you know, all of these iconic things we've seen. So there was one of those benches was part of it, and it was done by Gabrielle Devieux, who did that. If you remember from 2 weeks ago when we were over by the what's it called, the bee, where the bees were, there's some more deer. We'll go back over on the other side of those deer where that statue was. We just run through the grass. But he actually designed those benches. And so there was one of those benches were part of this auction. And then there were so many people that were upset about the fact that it was just being sold at auction. It was actually pulled from the auction, but he is the one who actually designed these first benches of Paris. And that they are everywhere. He also did the one that they call the gondola. This beautiful statue that we can't see that's all wrapped up was actually about dedicated to Stendhal. It was actually done by Rodin. It's a big marble piece. Oh, there you can see that. The plaque in the middle of it, the little medallion, is actually what Rodin did. Stendhal was an author. Is that the... Oh yeah, this one over here is kind of interesting. It's based on the story of from Baudelaire. And it was about a young girl that was jailed, and while she was in jail, she fell in love with the jailer, and then she was released. But she would come every day at the end of the day and stand outside by the tree there in her in the story. She's wearing this little dress and a short skirt. So that is what they depicted here in the statue. But yeah, for the benches, Devieux, who he worked very closely with Haussmann, of course, and he did this bench, and then the other one is called the gondola, which is what you would see in the Monceau, which we'll definitely go visit one day as well. The Monceau, it's the one, it just kind of is it has a very actually maybe that's one right there. It's got all the tiny small slats. I think that's one actually right there. This statue is of George Sand. She is, of course, the writer that everybody should know. We did a podcast episode about her that I will have linked in that little list of everything from the show. She's here depicted wearing a dress, of course. Most people know George Sand because she would wear men's clothes a lot, and then she had that she would write under that name George Sand, which was something that came early. She was involved with this other man, and I think they were Jacques, if I can't remember, Jacques something. And then she wanted to write her own book, and it was called Indiana, and it was one of her biggest books that she ever wrote. But she wanted to use his name, and he said no, so she changed it to George Sand. And she was pretty fascinating. She was actually one of the few women to be able to live off what she would make just on her writing. And this is, quite a long time ago, which is pretty shocking. But here she is in her dress. She was very opinionated and did whatever she wanted. So she wore men's clothes, and so you're supposed to have a permit to do that, and she did not do this. She said no way, and she did it anyway. This statue here, if you've seen Roman Holiday, this might be kind of familiar to you, not the actual, the same statue, but it is La Bocca della Verità, which, you know, I'm not sure about my Italian there, but it is, remember in Roman Holiday when he takes her and there's the big, it's a big circular, you know, mask on the side of a wall. Well, it's a story of if you put your hand in there, if it closes on it, it means you were lying. And so this is a little take on that. It was by Jules Blanchet. And it looks like they are protecting some of these things. I don't notice as many of them getting covered in the Luxembourg, but in the Tuileries, they will cover just about everything that there is. Looks like some of the plantings are going in. I think those were maybe empty when we were here. How many of you have walked through these parks and then when you leave, you have to stop and take your shoes off to get all the tiny, tiny pebbles that somehow jump into your shoe? And they feel like you're walking on boulders. I'm not sure what this little house is up here. It must be for birds.
I think it's a pigeon house. We have one on the maps as well.
Oh, because we need to have more pigeons.
Trying to get them to stay in there.
Yeah, keep them in the house. So we're gonna head, we will show you these guys. We showed you, I think, these guys last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And then we'll go back behind the fountain again and show you Lida, because that's right where we lost connection in the pouring rain. Kate's poor phone couldn't take the rain anymore. I love the one here, the 2 statues here. This is the dancing faun. Of course, the other end is the Greek actor. The dancing faun, he's just such a perfect, the cloud doesn't look so great. He is such the perfect, you know, greeter here at the beginning of when you come into the garden. He's dancing on a bag that's filled with wine. He's probably had a little bit of wine himself. And he's playing his flute and just dancing along. I think this is probably one of the more main entrances to the park. And it's definitely, I think that's probably what they think, is you have this great vista looking down and looking over at the palace, Marie de Medici's palace. We could check on how the construction's going over here, or the cleaning it all up. It's still too clean. It's too white. I wonder when the last time they did that, because it was pretty mossy and everything when my grandpa's pictures, but those, you know, 40 years ago. I'm sure it's been clean since then. There is actually a law in Paris that you have to clean and the front of the buildings I think it's like every 9 years or something. So here we are again. It's nice that they have all those little information signs. Before we got cut off, and this is Carol and Dawn's favorite part. Look at how it is very clean. The back of here, of course, is Lida and the Swan fame. This statue was somewhere else. It was down on Rue Vaugirard and Rue de Regard, not too far from here. And it was on a fountain that actually Napoleon had installed to bring water to the city. It sat there for about 40 years, and then Houseman was actually going to tear through it, and so it was going to be removed. And Mr. Davio of our Green Benches fame is the one who saved it, and he actually had them take it off, and they put it aside. He was working with Houseman on all this stuff, so this fountain was actually behind Kate. It's at basically in the middle of the road, the Rue de Medicis. It's right behind us. And so luckily it was saved, and it was taken apart brick by brick, or, stone by stone, and moved over here, which, that has to be an incredible thing to see and to do. And so when it was moved over here, it gave this perfect place to put Lita back onto the back of the fountain. You could kind of see, this is, I hopefully don't jinx it. This is right. I think I was saying this right when we lost the picture. You see that dark spot, that's actually a little spout. But I don't know if I've seen that one, water coming out. There's 3 dark circles below those masks. The water does usually come out of there. But Lita and the Swan is the story of Lita, and the swan is Zeus. Zeus could not let mortals see him in his, godlike appearance. So he would actually have to transform himself. There's quite a few stories. There's the rape of Europa, which is where he turned himself into a bull. He turned himself into a swan and seduced her. And this is where the story gets strange, or, I don't know, maybe back then this was completely plausible, but he ended up impregnating her. She that same day had slept with her husband, and he impregnated her. She later on, months down the road, gave birth to 2 eggs. Totally, this totally happens. Gave birth to 2 eggs, and in one egg were the 2 children of Zeus, and the other egg was the 2 children of her husband. It's mythology. But I don't know. I'm always fascinated by any of the depictions of her in art, and I always get excited when I come across something in the Louvre or anywhere else. Delacroix also did a painting of her. It's really interesting. Some of them get pretty naughty, some of those paintings, depictions of the story. And so, I guess if you're being seduced by a swan, there's really only one thing happening there. Yeah, I think those are the gondola benches, the real curved ones there on the left. Yeah, those are the other ones he did. I love those ivy swags that are around there. Whenever I'm in Paris, especially in the parks or something, I will pick up like a leaf off the ground and put it inside my book, whatever book I'm reading. And so it's really fun to open books sometimes, and I open it up and all of a sudden here's a leaf, and it's from, the Tuileries, or it's from along the Seine. It's really fun to see. I love coming across all those. It says on here that it's supposed to be, the construction's supposed to be done by next month, so we shall see. But it looks like they drained it all and they're cleaning it all up in there.
I don't think that's going to be done by next month.
No. It's pretty amazing that they even thought it would be. So now we're going to, and hopefully hopefully Kate's not going to get rained on, but now, even though we've walked down here before, mostly a little of this is for my own curiosity, because I'm so excited to see it. We're going to walk down through Odeon down to my favorite little area. And I know that Ron and Debbie will love to see this too. Just so we could see all of the people sitting outside on the terraces, and by, of course, my favorite place. I love coming in. Once the first time I stayed in Paris and I stayed near the Luxembourg, I forever always have to stay near here. Just because there's something about, I just love being able to walk through here, and just, even if you only have half an hour to sit here in the park, I absolutely love it. I remember coming here, I don't know if I said this the last time, I remember coming here the first time and thinking, okay, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to go sit in and watch the sunset, and they kick you out before the sunset. And if you're sitting there, the guards come through with their little whistle, and they start screaming at everybody to get out of there. Look, that person's like, I don't care. I am walking. I have my red pants on. I love that. Have you ever noticed, like, there was somebody on Instagram that basically had an account that they were just posting pictures of mostly men in Paris in red pants. I love it. I think Carol Don needs some red pants for his neck for when you guys get back. So we're going to walk down back through Odeon. And maybe we'll see some music again like last time. We just missed it. Remember that, Kate?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still occupying the theater. Maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds quiet today.
They were occupying. I think it was something they were doing like almost every day, or maybe on the weekends they were doing.
Yeah, it was every day because of they're saying that like people in the arts aren't getting enough support compared to other industries.
Oh yes. No, now it's back to a terrace. So this is a really fun place to sit. It's I think it's kind of the hours are dependent on what's happening inside, but right now, obviously, I don't know if they're doing plays back in there yet. But it's kind of a fun little place to sit, especially on a sunny day. They get a lot of sunshine. Oh, I love it. We are heading down. This is the Place de Théâtre l'Odéon. We are going to head down to Rue de l'Odéon. I still have never gone in this restaurant, but it's kind of neat. They have the image on their menu and everything was done by Jacques Cousteau. There's Kate in the window. Hi, Kate. Oh, my favorite street. Rue de l'Odéon. Cheryl, isn't it all seafood too? It's a lot of seafood in that restaurant, I think. This is, of course, we walked down here before, but it's, all of the bookstores. There's a few bookstores here. Of course, this is where the second version of Shakespeare and Company once was. There, I think it might be this bookstore. I went in, John Baxter, the author, my favorite buddy, he lives in the building that, Sylvia, totally, that right there, that green door, he lives in that building. And he and I one day were going to lunch and he wanted to go into that bookstore and he bought this a box that had like all of these little books in it, and it were some of the original paperbacks. And he is quite the book collector. He actually has an entire storage unit up or storage space. I think this was the store in Montmartre that he has all these books, and he ends up selling them and stuff, and he knows what to look for. It's pretty fascinating. He and I are going to go. There's out in the 15th. There is a park there that on the weekends they have big markets where there's all these booksellers come. He says that sometimes the prices are a little high, but he and I are going to go check it out. And I definitely have a problem. I just was thinking today I'm going to be there on my next trip so long. I'm going to have to send back boxes of books I buy throughout my trip. I might need to send them to you, Rox, so you can hold on to them for me before I get back. But it's really fun and interesting to go with him to these places because he just knows what to look for, and it's pretty fascinating. That, of course, this is where, look at Kate, she remembers everything. This is where the second Shakespeare and Company was. There's a plaque there on the right between those two upper windows. All it says is basically this is where Ulysses was published, or she published Ulysses. It's not as much to her. John said that they were trying to get a plaque created to put on their building, because that's where Sylvia lived and where she had died. And there's Sylvia right there. So cute. She's, oh my gosh, she's so adorable. But he said that of course, the hoops and the paperwork they had to do was so crazy, but anybody could put those plaques up. So you don't always want to take those plaques as gospel about something. Sometimes people, as we know, there's the one where they say Hemingway lived here up on near Place de Contrescarpe, but it was just his little office and the dates are wrong. But the basis of the info was there. So we're doing some investigative reporting because Emily told me that my very favorite place does not have its window boxes with geraniums up yet. We got to check this out on our own. This is a little wine, and I think they have wine and cheese in that place. I stayed, this door coming up here on the green door coming up to the left, I stayed in an apartment there. It was one of those Airbnbs where they said, if they ask who you are, say you're my cousin. I don't think it was they could legit be there. Oh, look at all these people. This is Ibu. Which is a great place to come for a drink, I think. Oh, there's my friend, the flowers. He always comes in and gives me one of the flowers. I think the waiters, I think, are a little bit of a pain. And of course we have the Brez Cafe here with the most amazing, the jambon truffe. Oh, and I wanted to see in the very center. So this was one of the reasons I wanted to come down here. Just yesterday or the day before, they installed this, the head, I don't think you call it a bust, his head of Charles Aznavour, who was the French singer. He lived in this area. He was born actually on Rue de Monsieur de Prince, which is behind us. They just installed this. That's actually a really good likeness of him. They just installed this here like 2 days ago. Oh, Les Editeurs not open. They just installed that here. The mayor and everybody was here. So that's kind of cool that they put that, the Les Editor. And then of course, across the way, my favorite, it looks like my Le Vent Comptoir is still closed, or I would have Kate go in there and we could all say hi to the boys. But I don't see any of the window boxes up there either. What is happening? I need to get back there quickly. Things are going astray. But this is of course my favorite little place. It's expanded quite a bit. I was sitting here one time early in one of my trips. I was sitting here in the afternoon, right where Kate is. And there was this gentleman standing with his hand on one of these, little posts. And all of a sudden I noticed, there's my favorite. Oh, give it a little kiss for me, Kate. Blow it a little kiss. I would notice that the gentleman was standing there and he had a gun in his, his waist. And I was like, what is happening? Is it in here? Is it across the way? I never could figure out who he was there as a bodyguard and who he was watching. It was probably somebody here in Camdor, in Comptoir, but I never saw who it was. At that time when I went there, that was really early. I had no idea where I did not know. That's not when I fell in love with this place. I didn't even know how great it was. I just went there in the middle of the afternoon when all they had was Aperol. And then I thought later, I was like, oh, I should have stayed and had something to eat. Because it's always busy. But look, it's so good to see all the life back in here. And down here at Danton, we have good old Danton. I saw that the Pan Am, it's not open.
No, I don't think they have an outside space.
Yeah, they just usually have like a row of seats here in front of the window, and that's it. Oh, June 9th. That's when they are supposed to, they're supposed to open it for international visitors as well. But the podcast Pan Am, who she does awesome podcasts about French history. I saw that she just did an episode about Danton, who's on this statue here that we've seen before. But I have not listened to it yet. Tomorrow's episode of La Vie Creative is another one about the Louvre, and I love this one. This is, we go back and I talk about 3 other pieces of art. We talk about Joan of Arc, the Joan of Arc statue that was actually once in the Luxembourg, that was once part of the 20 illustrious ladies. And then we talk about the Delacroix, Liberty Leading the People, and Jacques-Louis David's the coronation of Napoleon. So I'm really excited about those, but we are, don't worry, Donna Carroll, I'm going to do some of the ones that are in the Orsay. I'll do some of your impressionists. I was doing some work yesterday on looking up the island, and I'll send you a message, Carol, or you guys could tell me the Ile de la Jette, I think it was called. And it's where Georges Seurat painted Sunday in the Park. But apparently there's like a little artist trail. So I want to see if what that is and do some research. Did that lady just have a conniption fit? Because maybe we'll have to do a little walk out there and go see. And they apparently have like little markings along the way of like, here's where Van Gogh painted this picture or painting and da da da. So we'll have to go check that out. But we could, it's already 9 o'clock, so we could go ahead. Maybe Kate, we'll just walk with Kate down to the river. As long as Kate has power, we'll just walk down with Kate to the river, down on this same little street. But now look at how fun it is. We should all go back and watch the one from when we did this walk, what, a month ago, when there was hardly any people, and now there's all these people.
There's no men playing ping pong today.
No, so no ping pong. That's that wonderful chocolate shop. Yeah, there's a lot more people now, isn't there?
Crazy.
And we're
quite ready for this.
Yeah, all of this outside it's not usually this many tables out here. Is Procoup? Oh, it was. No. Oh, I don't think it's open because this is all they have for outside. This is like live news for you guys, straight from the streets of Paris.
There's evidence when we get our next wave of COVID.
Yes, I know. Well, they're making everybody still wear masks there, so that's good.
Yeah.
Here it's all loosey-goosey again.
Really? We're all getting our vaccines now, so it's fine.
Yeah, it looks like they're speeding up over there, so that's good. Did you get yours yet?
27th, I'm getting mine.
Oh, good. Yeah. Drink lots of water before and after.
Oh, it's Crystal's been really tired from hers, but
she was drinking spritz, and I told her to drink water. She's like, I was drinking spritz, and I was like, you need to drink water.
Yeah, she and Giuseppe went straight to the terrace from their vaccine.
I know. I mean, it was the day it opened.
Exactly, you got to.
You have to.
It's the rules.
That is the rules. The apartment I was looking for, I'm hoping to get, is actually just right on Rue Dauphine, there to the right. I love this little place here, and I love that I don't know if they have them on the tables now, but they usually use look at this, instead of the cute little bottles, they usually use the bottles of Saint-Germain, the liqueur, and they usually have flowers in them coming out on the tables, but now they have hand sanitizer. I'm just taking this all in with you guys. And this is, of course, is Rue Mazarine. And then it will go, I could already see the dome from here. I have stayed, this is a really wonderful bookstore right here too. Has a lot of really old books. Really cool old books. And it has that picture perfect, usually they have like the little boxes out front, and it's just that picture perfect French bookstore. I've stayed on this street a couple times. I've stayed in the same building a couple times in different apartments. I always think this place to the left is funny because they sell like scrubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's another place, I think it's on this street, that they sell shirts. Have you guys noticed these stores that just sell like shirts, and they will have like they just basically have them like folded down so they're like the size of a piece of paper, and then they have the collar, but they just have those in the window, and then that's what you see, and then you go in and say which one you want. It's just really odd. That's the building I stayed in, and it's right above a ramen place that is incredibly popular and would have lines of people getting ramen and outside. And then there's also one of those real trendy hipster bars that's kind of hidden over here. And so if you were trying to go get some sleep on a Saturday night at, before 2 a.m, it was always difficult, but you were still on this street, so it didn't matter. Because the whole reason I would always have to stay here also is because I go straight down the street, the Rue Mazarine, and we walk behind the Institut de France. Oh, I did also find out that the Voltaire sculpture, we'll have to see if it's back. It was actually taken down for cleaning, and it's supposed to come back. So who knows?
That's really interesting because it was reported that it was taken down because of Black Lives Matter, but I wasn't sure whether that would be true, because like I know the French government were really resistant to anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the thing I saw that said that no, it hasn't been taken down because of BLM. It was actually taken down to get cleaned, because there was a statue or two that's in Luxembourg that probably shouldn't be there if that was the case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was an odd choice for the one to take away.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So he's coming back. We can see if he's
We'll
there.
see. We'll see if it's here. It looks like they were doing to the right of us is all part of the back of the Institut de France. And they've been doing construction back there. They started doing some construction, and then they unearthed all of these things underneath the stones. And so they had to then, change over and go into a more recovery mode. So it was taking a very long time, like everything in France takes a long time to get done. But, good, because it was, they discovered all of these great things in there. So it looks like, at least from this side, it's done. It looks like Oxford.
Does. Could be walking around my hometown.
Yeah. I love this. I love always seeing. And then if there's been rain and you have those puddles, you could get these really cool pictures with the dome in there. This is the extra part of the walk. I think everybody's still with us, so we're not boring you to tears, taking you on the extra part that we already saw, but I could see this a million times. I can't wait for the time that more places are open. So in two weeks, I'm hoping in Saint-Germain, they do this special outdoor art fair and like kind of street art, and there'll be all these installations all over. That's in 2 weeks. And so I'm hoping I'll do more research on to see if there's what we could find, but I'm hoping that we could do that.
Yeah, I've had my emails about it, so I think it is going ahead.
Yeah, it looked like they did some stuff over at the Poste Furstenberg and a bunch of other places. Oh, still no Voltaire.
No, still absent.
And I think that they closed up either, look to the right of the building there. There used to be, maybe it's just covered up. Oh, okay. It's still there. I was thinking they got rid of that, but I think it's just
a mess.
Yeah. I always love being able to cross underneath there. instead of going all the way around the building. A whole extra minute or two. We'll go down here and go to the bridge and then bid our farewells. And next weekend is Memorial Day. We were still going to do a video, but let me know if you guys aren't available, let me know. But we were still going to do one even though it's Memorial Day weekend. But let me know. I have the bouquiniste. This bouquiniste here, it's really funny. I was sitting at the Café de Beaux-Arts one day, and this guy had rolled up with all of his things, and he went in there to use like the restroom, I think. And then he was sitting up here and he was just beside himself. He was like ticked off about everything. He was tossing stuff on the ground, and I don't know if what was going on there. He was having a day.
I think I'm permanently having a day.
Yeah. Oh, the Fête de la Musique, that's on a Saturday. We could maybe do something if Kate's available where we show at least part of the city for Fête de la Musique.
Oh yeah, we'll be out and about, so I'll take you around.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And everything should be back open by then.
We had so much fun last year because we weren't officially allowed to do it. But
yeah, I know people were going rogue.
Yeah, it was quite crazy. There was the whole of Paris was a street party.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. We could go. Kate could take us around to some of the places.
Yeah, there'll be loads of stuff happening around me and Montmartre.
Oh yeah,
well,
that'd be fun. And of course, we'll end here on the beautiful Pont des Arts. Oh, where you can see everything in the city. I love it. This is the best bridge. Like the Pont Alexandre Trois is a gorgeous bridge, but to me, this is the best because you have everything. You look on one side, you can see, you know, you can see Hotel de Ville, you can see the top of Notre Dame and the spire of Saint-Chapelle. And then you have the Louvre, and then you go over here and you see the Eiffel Tower and the Orsay and the Grand Palais. And of course the Louvre, my favorite thing. I'll post, I think it's, I'm not sure what the page is, but it's this YouTube page. And I think Ellen shared it on, and it says, I don't know who these people are. And part of their YouTube channel is all written like in Japanese, I think, but they do some walks, and they did the opening of the Louvre. They were inside just walking around for like 3 hours, and just, they don't say anything. It's completely silent. It's just, you hear like the ambient noise, but they don't talk. They don't narrate anything. But they were just walking through the Louvre, and I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and I was just like, so just overcome because they were walking up the steps to Wing Victory, and I just was about to die. So I will find that and share it with you guys. I didn't finish it because I had things I had to get done, and I just was staring at the screen. But I will find that and share it with you guys so you guys could get a peek inside the Louvre. And I will be back there in about less than 3 months. And so when I am there too, we'll do lots of tours. Maybe Kate and I will have to do we'll do some of them together. But I'm excited because I'm going to take you guys inside into some of the museums. And as long as you're not on a selfie stick, they pretty much will leave you alone. So we might just have to handhold the phone. But I'm really excited. I'm making a big list of all the things I want to share with you guys inside the museum. And of course, tomorrow's episode is about some of those paintings and the statue in the Louvre. But I'm going to start doing some more about some of the different museums. I just read this incredible book. It was a pretty new book that came out that was about some of the Jewish collectors in Paris at the time of World War II. One of those, of course, was Commando and his amazing museum. It was a fascinating book. I'll share that link. I'll share the book name with you guys. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But it was really fascinating. It talked about the Rothschilds and the Commandos and some of the collections that they created and what became of them and what they did with them. It was really, really interesting. So, but we will leave you guys here. I'm glad we got to thank you, Kate, for going even farther and showing us all of this, even though we've done it before, but you can never see this too much. And is that one of those awesome boats down there? That beautiful,
Yeah, it's like a little James Bond boat.
yes, I love that. I have to see, I think the Barefoot Contessa did an episode one time, and she was on one of those with her husband, you know, her perfect life with her champagne going on this little boat. We got to see how much that boat is, and maybe we have to do that.
Yeah,
soon.
that'll be us when you come over.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you. Thanks to you, Angela and Renee and everybody. And we love you guys. And thank you so much for supporting us and joining us each weekend. We love sharing all of this with you guys. And we will see you next weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you, Claudine.
Thank you, Kate.
everyone.
Thanks so much.
Bye.